Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well and welcome to the second video in my movie analysis series in which I discuss and break down movies that I have a strong opinion towards, be it positive or negative. In today's video I'm going to be discussing my favourite Michael Mann movie, that being Collateral, and why I think it's such a great movie. Just to give you guys a heads up, I will be covering spoilers from this movie, so that's your warning. So for those of you who haven't seen Collateral in a while, or maybe have only seen it the once, the plot follows LA cabbie Max, played by Jamie Foxx, who one night picks up passenger Vincent, played by Tom Cruise, as what starts out as a regular taxi fare for Max quickly turns into a nightmare for him. Max then finds out that Vincent is a hitman who forces Max to drive around the city for a sum of money to facilitate Vincent's targeted kills. I'll never forget the first time I watched Collateral, albeit at home, but nevertheless, from the opening frame, I remember being instantly transported to Los Angeles in a way that other movies that have been set in the city have never really captured. I think the fact that the story follows a cabbie as he drives throughout the city meant that I felt like I was given an unofficial tour of LA, exploring towns and locations that don't often get explored in a movie of this kind. From a jazz bar to an unassuming alleyway to a mega nightclub, I felt like a fly on the wall throughout the movie, exploring a day in the life of Max and Vincent. But what makes Collateral, in my opinion, stand out from Michael Mann's other movies is how the characters become the story. The conversations between Max and Vincent allow us to learn not only about their backstories, but more importantly, understand the fractured, tortured aspects of both characters. At the start of the story, we see Max picking up Jada Pinkett Smith's character, Annie, as through their conversation, we find out that Max is looking to set up his own limo company.
Limo company I'm putting together. Island limos. It's gonna be like an island on wheels. It's gonna be a cool groove, like a club experience. When you get to the airport, you're not gonna want to get out of my limo.
But once Max encounters Vincent, we learn that this ambition of his is nothing more than a pipe dream.
I'm not in this for the long haul. Just filling in. You know, it's temporary while I'm getting some things shaped up. This is just temporary.
How long you been driving?
12 years.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
As Vincent tells Max at one point, most people have the same job and hold the same routine day in and day out for the majority of their lives, which is why we relate to Max as someone who has an ambition to start his own company, but is not prepared to take the risk that comes with that territory. This establishes the dichotomy between Max and Vincent, with Max being a passive individual who doesn't have the courage to pursue his lifelong passion, compared with Vincent who, despite his criminal profession, is a doer who is not afraid to take a leap into the unknown. When it comes to learning of Vincent's backstory, we find out about halfway through the movie that he had a troubled upbringing.
Not a father like that.
Mothers are worse.
Wouldn't know, my mother died before I remember.
What happened to your father?
Hated everything I did. Got drunk, beat me up, foster homes, went back with him, like that.
He's a person who has never received the love and attention that most receive from their parents, which allows us to appreciate why he holds no emotional feeling towards the people that he kills. Michael Mann and screenwriter Stuart Beattie understand that by breaking down Vincent to his essence of what drives him to be a hitman in the first place, means that the audience at the very least empathise with him, which in turn allows us to be emotionally invested in his character's journey. Another interesting development to Max's character arc is how Vincent forces Max to come out of the shell that he's been living in for so long as a cabbie and take ownership of his life. An example of this is the scene when Vincent carries out his first killing of the night, as Max's hands are tied to the steering wheel of his taxi.
You tell me to stick this cab up his fat ass.
Can't do that, that's my boss. And next time you pulling these shit, I'm gonna have to stick this yellow cab up your fat ass.
I love how Vincent's level of control to whatever is thrown at him informs Max of everything he wants to be, but cannot fulfill due to the barriers that he forces upon himself. It's in this moment where Max, without expressing any words, realises the sheer amount of crap that he receives from people. And Mann and Beattie understand that the best villains are the ones that are not only in direct conflict with the protagonist, but also cause the hero to look at themselves and reflect on whether they're doing the right thing or not. The development and writing for Max and Vincent is only as good as the actors filling the roles. And in Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise, you have two actors who completely inhabit their characters, as I forgot that I was watching a bunch of performers on screen. Jamie Foxx is so versatile at adapting a skill set to whatever the script demands from him. Foxx makes the character feel lived in, as he plays Max with a calm, friendly demeanour that allows us to be on board with his character when we first see him. Foxx also never oversells the dramatic aspects of his character, especially once Max witnesses Vincent carrying out the murders for each of his targets. Foxx plays the moments of danger in a very grounded way, such as when he's hyperventilating after being an accomplice for the first murder, as this level of authenticity in his performance only makes the violent acts in the movie that much more believable. The cab scenes between Vincent and Max allows Foxx to showcase his dramatic acting chops, specifically the feelings of sadness and anger that come from an unfulfilled life, as through Foxx's facial expressions alone, we're able to experience the emptiness of his existence. Tom Cruise completely owns the part of Hitman Vincent, as Cruise immediately gives off a cool, confident vibe to his character when we first see him get into Max's cab. Cruise doesn't go over the top in his portrayal of Vincent, as he's in total command of his performance from the way he moves, talks, as well as being convincing in selling the action elements of his character. Specific moments spring to mind, such as when he yells at Max for throwing the list of Vincent's targets over the bridge, even right down to small lines of dialogue where he tells Max that the cops will be killed and go into the trunk of the cab if they don't let him and Max leave. Cruise and Michael Mann wisely remind the audience at key intervals of the story that despite the friendly, surface level aspect of Vincent's character, that beneath this is a shallow, calculating individual who is not afraid to do whatever it takes to get the job done. Michael Mann's direction is nothing less than top-notch, as his framing of tension is something to behold. Mann understands in the tradition of the best thrillers that the anticipation of a violent act is tenser than the act itself. One of my favourite scenes is the jazz bar encounter between Vincent and the owner of the bar, Daniel. What I love about this scene is how Mann subverts audience expectations by giving the impression that Vincent takes a genuine interest in this man and his passion for jazz. There's a moment when Mann lets the camera stay on Daniel as Vincent tells him,
"What a great story. I gotta tell the people in Collateral and Cartagena that story."
As Daniel's expression changes from one of happiness to one of terror, I instantly felt the tension ramp up to 10 on the Richter scale. At this point, once Daniel is revealed to be one of Vincent's targets, Mann could have easily played it safe and had Vincent kill Daniel without any fuss. But Mann shows Vincent's empathetic side as he offers Daniel the chance to flee the city if he answers one jazz question correctly. To go one better, by Vincent asking Daniel a jazz-related question leads the audience to think that he's going to make it out alive, especially as it relates to Miles Davis, someone who Daniel knows inside and out. It's not until Vincent shoots Daniel on the head with a silencer that we learn of Daniel's surprising correct answer. If there was ever one scene that up-and-coming directors should use as a template for creating tension between a set of characters, it would without doubt have to be this masterful sequence. In terms of levity, there's a fair amount of it sprinkled throughout Collateral, which was refreshing to say the least given the movie's overall dark tone. This never overshadows the dramatic moments in the story and makes the characters more human and relatable. My favourite comedic moment comes after Vincent carries out his first murder, in which Max tells him to take the cab before Vincent replies,
You promise not to tell anybody, right?
Yeah. Promise.
Get in the fucking car.
You
Get in the car.
These moments of comedy were surprisingly funny and gives the audience essentially a break from the acts of violence. When it comes to action, Michael Mann is no stranger in staging set pieces that feel real, authentic and suspenseful. And Collateral is no exception when it comes to this, with the club shootout being one of the best action sequences not only of Mann's career, but of all time. What Mann does so cleverly in this sequence is show Vincent scoping the club as to where Peter Lim's bodyguards are located, which allows us to know where the key players are situated to one another. This gives the scene a clear sense of geography, so that when the shootout does unfold, we never become lost as to where the action is taking place, despite the vast crowd of people in the club. The tension that I mentioned earlier is wonderfully incorporated into the sequence, as Mann adds the police to apprehend who they think is Vincent in Max, in addition to Vincent looking to find and kill his next target. By Mann having multiple characters constantly shift and move in the sequence ensures that no one is safe from escape, as this only adds to the tension that we experience. So overall, Michael Mann's Collateral works on so many levels, but the main draws from this movie are the three-dimensional natures of Max and Vincent, who are flawed and interesting, with both characters exposing troubled aspects of themselves in one another. This is in addition to top performances from Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise, who breathe life into their respective roles, along with masterful tension from Mann and great action filmmaking, especially the nightclub shootout scene. So I now hand it over to you guys, as I want to find out whether or not you enjoyed Collateral, and do you agree that this is Michael Mann's best movie, as I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.